accounting for partnerships. In the accounting, they do not go into detail like business, where they ask you what are the features and you need to give the advantages and disadvantages. But it still is good for you to at least know it. So in your books, you have the features of the partnership, and it is basically 2 to 20 partners, except for law firms and accounting firms and brokerage. Accounting firms can have more, law firms, I believe, can have more. The brokerage firms have less. So I believe when we learned it, I don't know if things have changed, but the brokerage firms, it's 2 to 10, I believe it is. And then the accounting and the law firms, it's 2 to 50. But the general thing, it's 2 to 20 partners in general, okay? Mutual agency, each partner must follow the agreements made by all of the partners. So you make an agreement, whether it is verbal or a special contract. I'm assuming that you may have done contracts if it is still on the syllabus. So mutual agency, if you have a contract, a special contract, a written contract, the partners must follow that. If there is a verbal contract, you should also follow it. However, that is leaving it very open to having conflict. So the suggestion is usually that you have a written or special contract with all of the 7 conditions and stuff like offer, acceptance, consideration, and those things. Unlimited liability is just like the sole trader, which means that if the partnership goes bankrupt, the personal assets of the partners, of the owners, can also be used to meet certain debt obligations. Okay, so it would not just be the capital that they put into the business. It would not just be that will have to cover any obligations, but also they will also be required to probably sell out their personal private assets in order to do that. That is what unlimited liability means, as opposed to companies, when you do companies, where there is limited only to the amount that is invested. That is the only amount that you can lose for a limited. Unlimited, you can lose business and personal assets. Okay, so there is, this is just going into a little bit more detail in terms of what we just said about the unlimited and the limited. There is something called a limited partnership, where one or more of the partners has limited liability, meaning that only his business investment is going to be at risk of being lost. So only that invested. At least one partner must accept unlimited liability due. So that means that in general, partnerships are unlimited liability. The exception is that you can have a limited partnership where they have limited liability, but still at least one of the partners must accept unlimited liability, meaning his personal assets can be used to meet certain obligations, like amounts owed to people in case the business is closing or in bankruptcy or whatever, okay? Partners share profits and losses. With the sole trader, the main advantage of a sole trader was that he gets all of the profits, but it was also the main disadvantage, meaning that he also had to bear the burden of all of the risk. So the risk of losses. So if you make a loss as a sole trader, you had to bear that full loss. With partnerships, you have to share the profit, which is seen as more of a kind of a disadvantage, right? Whereas the sole trader, you get all the money yourself. partners, you're sharing it amongst the partners. Yet the advantage is that if you're making a loss or there are risks, the partners also share that risk. So you see, there are the advantages and disadvantages of each one. The partners also share ideas and expertise. That is one of the great benefits of having partners, that you can collaborate and you will have different skills. With a sole trader, you had to be marketing, sales, production, HR. You had to do everything yourself, including accounting, unless you hire somebody. With partners, you can have a partner that deals with just the financial aspects. Just another partner can deal with the HR, human resource part of it. In business, once again, you would have done the different departments and rules. So you can have a partner doing different things, bringing different skills and expertise, and therefore advantages to the business. Unlike a sole trader that has to be everything and may not be an expert at a certain thing, which can be a disadvantage to their business, especially if they don't have the money to hire people with the expertise. All right, so partnership agreement. As we said before, you know, with the mutual agency, the partners are supposed to follow the rules of the partnership, the agreement of the partnership. So you should have a partnership agreement or a contract, and your exam questions actually give you what that agreement is. So they tell you what the partners have agreed upon. So the deed of partnership or the contract, partners usually make a formal agreement when the partnership is formed. When the agreement is in written form, it is called a deed of partnership or partnership deed, which is the written and legal agreement between the business partners. It is always recommended, but not essential, for partners to have such an agreement. So as we said before, you can have a verbal agreement, but it is still recommended to have a written or special contract, reason being to avoid certain conflicts. And we will see the kind of conflicts. You go into partnership with your friends, you have some slackers, they hardly do any of the work, you do all of the work, and then you get a profit. How should you share that? You will believe that as a person that did most of the work, you should get most of the profit. The slacker is a slacker all the way. He bold-faced down to the bone, and he believes, well, he's a partner, he put in money, he was there for support, whatever the reasons, he believes he should get the same share as you. Who is going to be right? If you do not have it written down, you will be surprised to find out what the law says. The law says that it has to be equal. So where you are going to quarrel and complain and want to beat up your friend because he wants to get equal and you think that you should get more, under the law or legally, you will have to give in to your friend and give him the same amount of money as you. Same thing applies if your friend felt that he put in more money, he invested, so he should get more profits, more returns. If you don't have it in writing, you're going to get equal. He could complain and want to beat you up as much as possible. Legally, you're going to get exactly the same amount. So which is why you should really discuss these things and put it in writing, because you may discuss these things, but then at the end of the day, change your mind depending on how much profits you've made. So they always suggest it should be in writing. And the things that would be in writing would be how much capital has each partner put into the or invested into the business, what are the responsibilities or the roles of each partner, what are they supposed to perform, like are they supposed to be the marketing or the accountant or the HR manager, what exactly are their roles in the partnership. And in terms of things like drawings, so just like you put in capital and you state how much capital has been invested, they also can have an agreement how much of that capital are you able to withdraw for your personal use at any point in time. So if they don't have a limit, well, you can withdraw all your money at any point in time, right? But if it is that they have a limit, they can say only $5,000 a year can be taken out from the business, from the money that you already put in or invested. So these are some of the things in your agreement. And then the other components, which is extremely important, because all of your questions are going to be dealing with these items. The least popular would be the interest on loans, but almost every, like 99% of your questions, of course, all of them, you have to share your profits, because that is one of the characteristics of a partnership. You have to share your profits, which is why we're doing a new account called the appropriation account, which really easy, real easy. Okay, interest on capital. In business and econ, you guys would have done the 4 factors of production, which is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship or enterprise. When you did those, you would have also done the rewards. So the reward of letting people use your land would be rent. And the reward for providing labor would be wages and salary. The reward for capital, interest, exactly, beautiful. And then the reward for entrepreneur or enterprise would be profits. And we have been working out our profits all the time as a reward for operating a business. So what we have been dealing with has been the profits. Now we are going to add to that there are other rewards that an owner will get. So besides profits, which is the operating of a business, the owner may receive something called interest on capital. So when a partner invests money, if you agree, because we are using your money in the business to operate the business and therefore make a profit, we can give you a reward for that money that you are the partner. When I say you the partner, has allowed us or invested in the business for us to use. And that will be called the interest on capital. Drawings. You kind of don't want, whenever you take money out of the business for your personal use, that is less money for the business to use. So which means that you really don't want it to get out of hand, which is why we said that you should probably place a limit. Because if everybody kept on taking out their money for personal use, what will you use for the business to get your profits? So what they may do is whenever you do take money out, which is drawings for your personal use, they will charge you interest because you are now using money for your personal benefit. So the business will have to get a reward for that, for allowing you to take your money out of the business. You will have to pay the business a reward in terms of interest. So it works both ways, right? Partners will get a reward for investing capital, but they will have to also pay the business for taking out that capital in the form of drawings. Salaries. Owners are not workers. So the reward for an owner or an entrepreneur has always been profit. But remember, we said that the partners may have certain roles in the business. So you as a partner, you are studying accounting. You can be the accountant for the partnership. if they agree that you are the accountant, what they can say is you are providing labor, and the reward for that labor is not profits. Profits that you get is the reward for being a partner or an owner or an entrepreneur. But if you are doing the additional job of being the accountant, for example, that means your reward for providing that labor is salaries. So sometimes a partner, besides getting the profits, may also be entitled to getting a salary at the end of the month, at the end of the year. Okay? And then interest on loans. Sometimes the partners may not want to invest capital because, you know, when you invest capital, that means that if the business goes down, you getting back that money last, or you may not get back that money at all. Remember, unlimited liability, you lose that money and you could probably lose your own personal private assets. So they may decide, rather than invest that money and risk losing that money, instead they will say they lend it to the partnership. Remember, the business partnership business for accounting is separate from the actual owners. So even though in business you learn that is one and the same, so if you get sued, is one and the same getting sued. For accounting, we treat the partnership as a separate entity from the partners. So the partners as a separate entity can lend the business money. When you lend the business money, once again, the business is using that money just like capital. They're using that money to generate profit and stuff, which means that interest has to be provided as a reward to the partners for that loan. Just like the interest on capital, interest on loans will be provided, but you must state it. All right, did you all see the little animation that comes with PowerPoint? What that represents is our darling partners did not have a written agreement. So they decided they will go on good faith, you know, partners, friends, whatever, and they did not have an agreement in terms of these items. So because there is no partnership agreement, we now have to go based on the law. And there's something called a Partnership Act 1980. If there is no partnership agreement, this is what you have to follow based on the Partnership Act, the law. In terms of profits, as I explained before, in the absence of a written agreement, how you're going to share the profits, automatically they're shared equally. You could quarrel and get on as much as you want to, that it's unfair, that you did most of the work, that you put in most of the capital, whatever your reasons. If you don't have it down in writing, the law states, Partnership Act, that you have to share the profits equally. So in an exam question, if they do not tell you how to share the profits, automatically you are going to share the profits equally. As easy as that, simple. You don't have to go and look at their profits, look at their capital or anything like that. Automatically just go and share it out equally amongst them, okay? So if there are two partners, 50-50. If there are three partners, 33 points, so a third. 4 partners, a quarter, and so on, just equally. Interest on capital. Once again, if it is not written that the partners are going to get the reward of interest on the capital that they invested, if that is not written, you get nothing. All right? The law states, in the absence of a partnership deed, a written agreement, the law says, therefore, you will not be entitled to any interest on capital. You could put $1 million, $1 billion, it does not matter unless you have it in writing. Same thing for interest on drawings. It's the same thing. Once you don't have it in writing, nada, nothing. Yeah, right? Nada. No. No. Okay, good. Salaries, same thing. You can be the accountant and work your tail off, or you can be the marketing person. You go and you market your product and you are responsible for the greatest sales revenue and therefore the profits. You can big up yourself as much as possible and then say, hey, I deserve a salary. And if the other partners don't agree with you and they say, no, 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 guess what? By law, you ain't getting any salary. So it is in your best interest, if you are going to do all of that work and you think that you should get a salary based on that because you are doing extra, you are not just collecting profits like the owner, the other partners, you are also working for it and you are responsible for the success. Put it in writing how much salary you think you should get and negotiate ever so often. That is what a contract is, up for negotiation. Good? If you don't have it in writing, nothing. So let's just go through the first four. These are the most popular. If you do not state how you're going to share the profits equally. If you do not state that there should be interest on capital, interest paid on drawings, or salaries for a partner that is working his tail off, nothing, zero, zero. This is the law, Partnership Act, law, zero. Interest on loans, however, it is not just a clear case of zero. They actually have an amount there. So if you do not state anything in writing in terms of how much interest you have to pay the partner as the partnership business has to pay that partner for providing a loan. If there's nothing written, you pay them 5%. Okay, so 5%. So if you think as a partner that has given a loan, you think that you deserve 10%, what you have to do, make sure and put it in writing. Right, so I hope that is clear enough for everybody. So just remembering allocation of profits, if there is no partnership agreement, it's equal. Interest on capital, you remember how much it was? If no agreement, nada, none, zero. So you could just put zero here instead of writing out this entire thing. Zero, zilch, nil. Interest on drawings, you remember how much you get? Zero, nil. Salaries, how much you get? Zero, nil. Interest on loan, how much you get? Wrong, not zero, nil, 5%. So interest on capital and your reference, page 102. Capital is the amount invested by the owners of the business. That is, in this case, the partners. Interest on capital is the annual percentage amount paid to the partners as a reward for investing the money used during the year to operate the business. It's the annual percentage. Remember, annual meaning it's for 12 months, right? So the interest, if they tell you 10%, that means it will be the reward for using the money for a year, annual, 12 months. If you did not use it for the full year, then you should not be getting a reward for it. So if you only invested money halfway through the year, should you get a full year's reward? No, you shouldn't. So that is what this is stating here. So you can just write down next to your notes, just as, underneath. Interest on capital is based on the number of months the capital was in use. In other words, it will be when you invested till the end of the accounting year. PEC invested $6,000 on June the 1st. So assuming that the year end is December 31st, we already know that he did not invest the money for the full year. He invested kind of a little over halfway through, right? Interest on capital is 10% per annum. So because of this per annum, you cannot just give him a 10% of $6,000, which is 600, because we did not get the benefit. The partnership business did not get the benefit of that $6,000 for the entire year. So what you will do is you look at when was it invested, $6,000 invested on June the 1st, and the year ended on the 31st of December. That means that if you count it out, June the 1st, that means we use the money for the full June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So that will be the full 7 months. That is 7 months out of the 12 months. So you can only get the interest for 7 months. So it's $6,000, 10% per annum. So the reward for a year or 12 months would have been $600. Did we use the money? Was it invested for the full year? No, it wasn't. As we saw here, it was invested only for 7 months. So for 7 months, how would you calculate how much the interest is for 7 months? It will be the annual amount of 600 multiplied by 7 over 12. So it's however many months over the full 12 months. And that gives you 350 as the interest on capital for PEC. All right, this is going to be basically it, right? You're going to do 4.4. Basically, you're filling out the table here. You have to find out if the year ends on the 31st of December. So I didn't put that. It's the end, yes, year end 31st of December. For example, if they invested it on the 1st of January, how many months was it invested for, and therefore use the full year? So that will be 12 months. So you will just have to find 10% of 20,000. For the 30,000 for B, partner B, when did he invest it? He invested it on the 1st of April, which was during the year. So how would you find out how many months? Number of months in use. 1st of April, so that is the first, the full April, since it's the 1st of April, he invested it. So that's April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. How many months that is? Is that 9 months? So that is 9 months. You're going to write down 9 months here. And then here, this big space is to just show your working. So this was to show your working, which was just 10% of 20,000, and the answer, which is 2,000. Here you would put your working. Remember, it will be 10% of 30,000, but then you're going to have to multiply by 9 months over 12. And then the answer you get is going to go in this last column here. And then you're going to do the same thing for partner C. Work out how many months, put out the months here. Then put your working, and then put the answer. Cool. So we will go back to page 101. Interest on drawings is the same thing, same premise. So you will just work out number of months, and then your working will be, you find out for the year 5% of 2,500, and then you multiply by the number of months over 12. 5% of 3,000 then you multiply by the number of months over 12. And the same thing for C. So you're going to have 4.3 to do and 4.4. Okay, and that's it for class today.